Chapter 1. Darkness surrounds Janet as she fumbles with a small box in her hand. A quick strike causes a tiny flicker of light to dance atop a stick. The small light fades and then returns to black. A second strike brings the light back. The lone flame surrounded by the dark is brought down to light a candle. 13. As Janet picks up the cake, the light from the candle illuminates her face. She's an exhausted single mom who is too old to raise her kids alone. A bad rash covers part of her cheek. As she walks to the dining room, she begins singing Happy Birthday. The dining room is dimly lit. The walls do not have a nook or cranny bare of floral decor, and have a bit too many embroidered scriptures. The room is filled with the sound of adolescent girls singing. Janet sets the cake down on the table in front of Bailey. Bailey's straight blonde hair is pulled back into a ponytail with bangs just out of her eyes. She does not talk as much as most of her friends, but is unafraid to say what she thinks. Beside her, on either side, sit her two best friends. A year older, Emily is the most mature of the three, but the shyest. On the other side of Bailey sits Sydney, a Sour Patch Kid, the perfect amount of sour and sweet. Everyone finishes singing Happy Birthday, and Bailey blows out the candles. She smiles at everyone, ready for all the eyes to get off of her. Bailey's big brother, Dylan, sits opposite the table. At 25, he's a bit older than Bailey. Years ago, after their father walked out, Dylan stayed to help care for his mother, who fought sickness after sickness. He has lost his enthusiasm for life after taking on so much responsibility at a young age. Dylan has had a girlfriend since high school. She was a sophomore when he was a senior. Now 23, she's leaning against Dylan's arm. She's a pretty brunette with eyes that always give away her thoughts. Janet starts cutting the cake and handing slices to everyone. As the party goes on, everyone ends up in the living room. Bailey and her friends are sitting on the floor, giggling, doing each other's makeup. Bailey grabs her phone and takes some selfies. RuPaul uses less makeup than what she has glopped on her face. I look like a Spice Girl. You guys look like bland girls. Confused, Sydney replies. What's a Spice Girl? She reaches out and grabs Bailey's phone. Let me see this. As Sydney looks at the picture, Emily grabs the phone. I'm going to send this to Ethan. She scrolls through Bailey's contacts, trying to find the number. Bailey lunges at Emily, fighting for her phone. What? No way, he is so gross. As the girls go back and forth, Dylan sits on the couch with Rebecca, lying with her head on his lap. Janet is sitting in a recliner watching the girls. I got a call back from the furniture store, Dylan tells Janet. I have an interview next week. That's so exciting. I knew they would call you. You just had to be patient, Janet replies. Bailey interrupts their conversation. Mom, come here, let me do your makeup. Excited to be involved, Janet jumps out of her chair and joins the girls on the floor. Sydney leaves Bailey to do her mom's makeup and sits down where Rebecca's legs are, forcing her to pull them up before Sydney squashes them. Can I do your makeup? I can make you pretty for your boyfriend. Rebecca sits up, slightly offended. You don't think I am pretty? Of course I do, but what? You guys have been together so long that you don't try as much. Sydney? Rebecca's face blushes with embarrassment and anger. When are you guys getting married anyway? You have been dating my whole life. Dylan chimes in, annoyed with Bailey's bratty friend. Why don't you leave us alone? Are you guys waiting till you're married? Rebecca is becoming increasingly annoyed. What did you just say? You know, if you are, then you need to get married fast. You don't want to waste all your pretty years not doing it. Rebecca hops off the couch and grabs Sydney. Okay, we are not talking about this. Let's go. You can put makeup on me. The two sit on the ground. Rebecca closes her eyes and raises her chin, giving Sydney a perfect canvas. Dylan looks around, realizing that he has been left alone. I'm going to let you girls have fun. I'm supposed to hang out with Dad tonight. He heads out of the house. As he passes Bailey, he rubs her hair, messing it up. Happy birthday, kid. Bailey looks up at him with a fading smile. You are going to see Keith tonight? Dylan sits in the passenger seat as the city lights dance over his face. He and his dad sit in silence as Keith drives through the night. Dylan usually does not make it into the city much. He prefers the calm and space on the outskirts of it rather than the chaotic crowds and traffic. Even though the city is not his favorite place, there is something about how even the buildings come to life at night. The lights from the buildings make a mural of colors that break up the darkness and grime that the city cannot hide during the light of day. Keith looks like an everyday businessman, clean-cut and wearing a button-up shirt. He drives a newer BMW model. However, he has lost the ability to talk to his son. Sitting there, not knowing how to start a conversation, his palms become sweaty. He turns on the radio, flipping through the channels, trying to find something he hopes Dylan might like. He eventually gives up and turns the radio off. How has your mom been? It is always awkward at the beginning every time that they get together, even though Dylan knows he is not the one who needs to worry about how the conversation goes or how the evening turns out. She has been feeling good. I think she is finally getting better. Good, good. You don't know how happy that makes me to hear that. I know I have said this before, but someday you will understand why I left. He spends all day making negotiations, smooth talking, convincing people to buy anything he has. But he cannot figure out how to talk to his son, whom he helped raise for 20 years. Dylan looks down at his lap for a moment. Open the glove box, Keith says, trying to change the subject. Dylan opens the glove box and pulls out a small box of a plastic model car. When you were younger, you always flipped through an old calendar of mine. You would flip to August 1969 GTO. Your eyes would light up when you found it. On your 8th birthday, I got you that model. I promised you we would put it together someday. Time got away, then your mom and I separated. I would come home to my empty apartment each night and all I could think about was you and Bailey. I started working on it. Maybe we can still finish it together. Dylan opens the box and looks over the half-finished model. The instructions are still folded up next to the car. I remember that calendar. I still have it. I always wanted to get you a real one. Maybe someday. Yeah, maybe. Dylan unfolds the instructions and looks over them. He notices that his dad has written something on them. Devoir, inside. What does that mean? Keith looks over at the instructions for a second. Oh, who knows? It was probably some note for something I shouldn't forget. That didn't work. He anxiously pulls out his wallet from his back pocket. He tries to go through it while keeping his hands on the wheel and his eyes on the road. He grabs a folded piece of paper and hands it to Dylan. He unfolds the paper to reveal a check. Dylan does not even read it and hands it back. Your mom won't take money from me. Can you put this in your bank account? We don't need it. Please just take it. Hopefully, it will help pay off some of her medical bills. Maybe fill up the fridge too. Dylan looks down at the check. $5,000. You know, I'm trying to be cool with you, but you can't just ask to hang out every once in a while and try to buy my love back. It's not like that. Yes, it is. You always make empty promises that I will understand. But it never happens. Dylan, I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to take care of you, Bailey, and your mom the best way I know how.
Anger starts to build in Dylan as his father begins to play the victim card. You don't have to. All you need to do is be there. Bailey had a dance recital last weekend and she was crying before it because you used to always help her with her makeup. It's not that easy. If she would talk to me. No, you were the one that left. Each time Dylan hears it is everyone else's fault, it drives the wedge deeper and deeper. You act like it's our fault that Bailey and Mom won't talk to you. We weren't the ones that left. You left. They sit in silence for a moment. Bang! A car smacks into the driver's side of Keith's car. The car screeches off the road. Everything suddenly goes foggy. Dylan can hear an engine revving as it speeds away. Not knowing where their car went, He becomes scared that they went into oncoming traffic. He looks around, dreading another hit. Nothing happens, but when he looks around, his eyes stop on his dad. Dad? No. Dylan's fear turns to shock and then grief.